So even in Amphibia, there's a weapon that will unite the people in order to spark the rebellion needed in order to... That's pretty much what this episode is, so, how's it going, guys? My name's D-Codes. This is Amphibia episode 37B, Barrels Warhammer, and if that title doesn't sound brooding enough, then yeah, pretty much this you can imagine what type of episode this is. This is a Sasha episode with the Toads, and pretty much right where their last episode left off, they have gathered all of the Toads in Amphibia from the East Tower and the North Tower, I believe, and so they have united everyone and are basically going to they give a presentation of their plans and what they want to do and to overthrow the king and take Amphibia for themselves, because as Grime stated, for too long they've been treated like dirt, and they've only been used as like lapdogs, and so they want to take control, overthrow the king, and rule Amphibia in their own way. And of course, surprisingly, all the Toads at first are in. Like, his sister, who's in charge of one of the towers, is in. Another leader, the other two leaders, one of which looks like he's a corpse in a chair. And I legit thought he actually was dead. I thought that's the joke they were gonna go with, but then they actually discovered that he's not dead. And rather quickly too, it's not like something you wait until the end of the episode and you're like, wait, you were alive the whole time? And it's like, no, he actually comes to life early on in the episode and gives them the quest. And so, okay, so yeah, Grime gave the presentation of what their plans are to do. The Toads are in at first, but then they ask, who wants to be the leader? Like, how do we want to do this? And so Grime suggests that they do it together. It's like, teamwork. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They think that's not gonna work. And so Sasha tries to stick up for Grime, but then the Toads aren't exactly for Sasha, because then they talk about how two humans have been working with the king, and so Sasha in that moment realizes that Anne and Marcy now are both working for King Andreas, and so that's another reason why, and so Sasha gets really frustrated with that, because not only now has Anne gone against her, but seemingly Marcy is on her side, on Anne's side, and the teams they're on opposite sides of this battle right now. And so Sasha really, yes, that's kind of part of her in this episode, is just her losing control. It's like, I think, honestly, this is probably my best comparison. It's like Azula in Avatar The Last Airbender, when she lost the control of Ty Lee and May, because, as May put it, well, for May, it was more of like she loved Zuko more than she feared Azula, and Ty Lee, she was not afraid. I mean, she still was afraid of Azula, but she cared more about her friend than she did for Azula. So, and we saw what happened with Azula as she slipped into madness. Sasha luckily doesn't go. She has that moment in this episode where she kind of looks very, very scary, but yeah, this is good. Yeah, so okay, back to all this. So after that moment with Sasha and her getting frustrated, the Toad leader, who everyone thought was dead, actually comes to life and spouts out the word Barrels Warhammer. And so Sasha's like, wait, what's that? And they're like, it's the hammer once wielded by the great Barrel Toad. And so apparently, so there's this legend of this hammer that was used to basically it's a very famous weapon by this one Toad named, I think, Barrel Warhammer, who used it to fend off some giant beast and helped save a town. So the hammer is basically now a legend, and the one who wields the hammer leads the freaking people. I'm like, okay, well, it's not a dark saber, but all right. So Sasha makes a deal with the toads and says that they'll get the hammer by morning. And she's like, we'll get that by morning. And even Grime's like, are you sure we can pull this off? And so yeah, it seems like this quest is going to be rather difficult because they said that the hammer is being guarded by this giant beast, and that no one has ever been able to destroy it. So they just assume that. Well, actually, it's the beast that was used. That it was the beast that the toad that wielded the hammer, Barrel Warhammer, used to fend off the beast, but obviously he lost then if the beast is still around and the hammer is still around. So yeah, so Sasha, Grime, Percy, and Braddock, the four of them go, and they go to find this hammer. Percy and Braddock aren't exactly excited to do this. They're very scared, and so Sasha tells them that, oh, if they're too scared, then they give them a sign. And so they're like, what kind of sign? And so Sasha does the freaking the anime, and so that's their call sign to say, get us out of here. And what's interesting is there really isn't that much of a journey to get to the hammer. Like, they get to the hammer rather fast. They arrive at the area where the hammer was last seen, and they find it rather quickly. And in terms of the hammer itself, I just kept thinking of, really, it's kind of Reinhardt's hammer from Overwatch, except smaller. Like, Reinhardt's hammer, it's like a gigantic, it's a huge hammer, but this one, it's rather small, but it still has, like, the rocket propelled backside, so when you slam it, it's like hammer down. Honestly, I do kind of want to see if they can actually scoop up scrape a fire or something. That would be cool. But yeah, so they find the hammer, and I was wondering if this was kind of like a joke of Thor or something, but they can't get the hammer out of the ground. It's stuck, and even all four of them together can't even make it budge. So it seems like it's not gonna go anywhere. Then they discover that this the hammer isn't on the ground, it's on the head of the beast that was on it. And so this beast is basically this giant snake with a metal horn, I think. Yeah, it's got this metal horn on the front. And so, it's basically an armored snake, and a part of me kind of felt like this was Shadow of the Colossus, like, the way it was moving in the water, the way they were running around on top of it. I really got some Shadow of the Colossus vibes out of that. Because, if anyone who's played Shadow of the Colossus, they know the 7th Colossi, if I'm correct. It's it's an underwater snake-like thing, and so you have to, or an eel, if we're being more precise. But I love Shadow of Colossus. Avion is my favorite battle in that entire game. The giant bird that you fly around on. I don't know why, but aerial battles where you're on top of, where you're just continuously flying around, and it just you feel you see the wind firing all around you, and you feel the rush. It's like so cool. And aerial battles are my favorite in games, so yeah, not surprising, I guess. So basically, so they're on top of the snake, and at first they want to bail, like Percy and Braddock. They get the sign like, but Sasha pushes on. She even gets so caught up into it that she's only focusing on Grime and the hammer. And and this is interesting, she's able to guide the snake back to the tower, because she figures, well, if we can't get this hammer off the snake, might as well take the snake to the freaking tower. And so it seems, but Grime, as Grime points out, they're heading directly towards the tower with the snake. So in other words, the snake is probably gonna level the tower unless they do something. So Sasha tries to steer it yeah, she tries to steer it, but she can't. So the only thing they can do now is try to get the hammer off its head and try and use it. And again, it seems like it's not budging, but then Grime is like saying, Grime's like saying, we have to get off, there's no way. And Sasha keeps screaming, no, like she refuses to let go of this, she refuses to give up, she refuses to let Anne and Marcy be together without her, without being in control. And then through all of that anger and frustration, you finally see her eyes glow. And of course, they glow red. And in that moment, I thought it was more of anger rather than, heart and intelligence or humility. I thought it was more towards the anger side of it. And I say kind of because, as we learn in the third temple, it's a little bit more than that. But I was like, the journey towards the dark side is complete. That's kind of how I looked at this, because she uses her anger and her hate and her calamity powers to get the hammer off. Sorry, I feel like I've been hearing something. She uses her strength to get the hammer off the snake's head, and she and Grime together use it to just kill the snake, smash it with the hammer again. It kind of activates this, power, and, it just rocket propels it, slams it into the ground. And, yeah, so they kill the snake right in front of the eyes of the toads as they burst through, as part of the snake's head bursts into the tower, and Sasha just comes in with the hammer, just plops it down. It's like, you guys asked for a hammer? It's like, yep. So, and obviously with that, the Toad Rebellion has officially begun. And so it seems like now we have three sides to this battle now, because obviously we have Anne and Marcy with, the toads, or not the toads, the frogs, because they've been working with each other recently. I'm sticking with I'm gonna stick with this theory. So it's a three-sided war now. Anne with the frogs, Marcy with the newts and King Andreas, and Sasha with the toads. There is no way this season 2 finale is going to be a happy ending. Unless they resolve everything that they've been building up to this point, I don't see this going well. I mean, because unlike Gravity Falls, so the thing about Gravity Falls that I feel like a lot of people have kind of put together, since Gravity Falls was one of Disney's first more wacky, mature shows, because on the surface, yeah, it seems like you got some colorful characters, but it was kind of more serious, kind of more mysterious, and kind of creepy for some people, from what I heard. Because I remember a Watch Mojo video for the top 10 worst Disney shows ever, and Gravity Falls was on the list, even though I think there was only 5 episodes of Gravity Falls that were out at that point. And they just said it didn't fit Disney. That was pretty much their argument, that it was too creepy, it was too weird, it was it doesn't really fit Disney. And I'm like, they're kind of right in that case, because when you think about Gravity Falls and you hear Disney's Gravity Falls, you kind of take a moment to think, really? Disney? So it's so bizarre to think about that. And so my theory about Gravity Falls is this. I don't think it was gonna be 2 seasons. I think, if anything, it was gonna possibly be 3 seasons. So, because the way Alex Hirsch purposely spread out the show, I remember the season finale of season 1, and then just the long gap between that and season 2, there was a gap, and then after after Not What He Seems, there was a gap there, and then for the series finale, there was a gap in between each part. Like they did not mess around. And if you look at the run and you look at the years that the show was on air, 2012 to 2016, 22 seasons, 40 episodes, 40 episodes. It's kind of interesting, right? So, and part of the reason is because, because I felt like Not What He Seems was originally going to be like the season 2 finale if they were going to do the 3 seasons. So now we season 3, we introduce Ford, we get more development of him, we get more interactions with him and the town, because it's kind of like Zuko in Last Airbender, where he joins the team midway through the final season and is like, okay, so now what? It's like, but okay. Little talk about my other favorite shows of all time. So, right now, this show, after the Toad Rebellion begins, Braddock and Percy confront, Sasha and tells her that they're leaving because she nearly got them killed for this, and Sasha's like, but this is the rebellion, this is what you wanted, we got this, and there's like, no, we don't want this anymore, this is what you want. It's like, they're done, we're done, and so they leave. And so Sasha doesn't really do much to stop them. She's like, okay, fine, go. Fine. So, yeah, so all of a sudden now we have this. And, okay, so take a step back, the Braddock Percy thing, Sasha, in that moment, she could have realized that it was kind of like Anne and Marcy, but, I mean, I feel like she's more embracing her dark side. Not her dark side, just the idea, just her path of what she's chosen and all that, so, yeah. Okay, so in terms of this episode, this was a good episode. This was a very intense episode, and it shows Sasha slowly diving deeper into this character, like this dark path she's on. Whereas Anne and Marcy, their paths are very, like, Anne's path is definitely a good path. Marcy's path, I think it's more of her. Obviously she's embraced the world, and she wants to and she's doing everything she's dreamed of doing in a world like this, and is helping a lot of people. She is kind of being misled by Andreas in some cases, because again, I feel like at the end and in the season 2 finale, there's going to be something that's going to happen between the three, and okay, so, let's stop talking about this, because we got, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 more episodes to talk about before the season 2 finale, because, let's see, there's an episode about a baby snail, there's an episode about a temple, there's an episode about a dinner, and then there's an episode about a battle of the bands, so, hey, it's no big deal. That was terrible. Okay, so, hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. If you want to subscribe. You don't have to. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one. It's no big deal. I'm sorry. That song is stuck in my head.